This is Jamie from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm excited to talk about my favorite mechanism and really one of the best games that I've played in 2022, and that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. I really enjoyed my first play of this game with 4 players, although the game scales really well because it features simultaneous play. I love simultaneous play. In this game, you are placing tokens on a map that looks like this, and there are a bunch of variable maps. Each player is always playing with the same map. So like there are a bunch of maps that say Avenia on it, and all players will play with that same Avenia map. You're placing tokens on this map, and over 4 rounds, you are placing those tokens, and at certain times you'll consolidate those tokens, or not consolidate, but you'll place a building token instead of a cube, basically. And at the end of the round, all the buildings stay, and certain other tokens do stay as well. But all the cubes you placed, all the explorers are removed from the map. So you have this sense of progression from things that you managed to make permanent on the board, but also you kind of start over from scratch a little bit at the end of each round. I think that's a clever system. I'm going to mention a few things real quick before I get to my favorite mechanism. So simultaneous play, I really like. Elements that stay or go. And there's a lot of progression in the game. I really love the sense of progression. Like for the number of buildings you place, or whenever you place a building, you'll gain coins based on what era it is. So even though it's nice to place buildings early on because they're permanent, if you're placing them later in the game instead, they're worth more coins. For each of these special citadels that you place, depending on how many citadels you have out there, they're worth more points. And this whole progression of just having certain permanent elements on the board feels really good. My favorite mechanism in the game, though, is tied to the action selection system. And this is such a clever twist, I think, on simultaneous action selection. So here's what the game board looks like. At the beginning of the game, you have cards that look like these. The table has these 5 cards shuffled in with this one card, Era 1. And you shuffle all those cards together, and you reveal a card at random. And so say you reveal this card. And it doesn't matter who. Any player reveals this card. You put it right here, and it means that each player is going to place a cube somewhere on their board adjacent to other stuff they have on this terrain type. Similar aspects for these other things. So these are terrain-specific places where you're placing cubes. However, and this is the neat little twist, and so that's nice. Simultaneous, different puzzle. The boards evolve in different ways very quickly, depending on what players do. This is where things really get mixed up, because whenever this card is drawn, the 1 is drawn, or at least the first time that it's drawn, each player gains 2 cards at random that have asymmetric abilities. Let's see if I can find these real quick. Just a bunch of asymmetric abilities. I'll show you some examples very quickly. So here's one that says explore, and I'll show you one while I'm talking about it. This is a different cards, but because they're asymmetric. The one I'm looking at says explore up to 4 desert spaces. That means place a cube on 4 different spaces. Triple the value of any coins that you earn from these spaces. So when that one card is drawn for the first time, I would say draw these 2 cards at random. Maybe I'll select this one as my special card, and I activate the ability right away. And then I slot this card next to my player mat as my 1 card. And that matters because when we move on to round 2, or era 2, not only is that 1 still in the deck, but the 2 is still in the deck as well. And so at a certain point during round 2, we're going to draw that 1 card again, and I've already defined what happens for me, specifically and only for me, when that 1 value is drawn. Each other player has a different special ability. So even though we are gaining the same exact abilities up here for these cards throughout the game, but probably placing cubes and tokens in different ways, our maps have merged in very different ways throughout the game. Despite that, we all have our own asymmetric ability that makes us feel really special and really powerful. All of these felt overpowered and felt really good. This is where the game really shines and makes me want to return to it time after time. This is the key to the replayability and the key to making you feel really powerful in this game. It feels really good when these cards are drawn, both for the first time because you get to pick, you get to discover something new, and also for the next time because then you can start to plan ahead. You know at some point in round 2 that this card's going to come up. Same for round 3 and 4. This is such a cool element of a simultaneous selection game. There are other games like this where you're drawing something from a bag, like Karuba is similar to this. I'm blanking on another game. There are definitely some other games that are like this, where you are revealing something and all players are doing that same thing in a position of their choice. But adding this asymmetric element that reverberates from round to round is so cool. I love this. Let me know if you can think of any other games that do this, or any other games like Karuba, like the Guild of Merchant Explorers, that have this simultaneous shared action selection system. But especially if any of them also have something more like this that I'm not remembering, let me know in the comments below. Thanks.